Here you go. I heard when a person is close to dying on the bed in the hospital, a doctor confirms his family's willingness to donate his organs to a hospital in the United States. So in the United States, about 10,000 people become a donor after their death every year. And organ donation is getting quite familiar requests from medical institutions in the world. And apparently, organ donations tends to be seen as humanitarian activity worldwide. So we have common activity. We have common recognition that organ donation and organ transplantation will save patients who are close to dying in the hospital. So being swayed by the world trend of organ donation that prevails people thought as humanitarian ethics, people sign up as a donor one after another these days. But I'm totally against organ donation and organ transplantation. I think this is a Pandora's box that we must not unbox. So although the survival rates of patients who undergo the transplant surgery has increased compared to that in the past because of medical progression, I think we cannot extend our life largely. So this is especially true on the patients with quite heavy symptoms. In the first place, the statistics data that says the survival rate of transplanted patients is increasing compared to that in the past has possibility to contain the number of transplanted people with no fatal disease, no serious disease, and with really healthy body. So there are some people who dare to undergo transplant surgery to get more healthy body, even though they don't totally suffer from a serious disease. So there is a possibility that these statistics data of the survival rate of transplanted people may contain the number of these people. So I can't trust statistics data of the survival rate of transplanted people 100% from the viewpoint of whether or not critically ill patient can actually extend their life. So in that sense, generally thinking, it is almost impossible to extend the life of people who are close to dying by transplanting decade by decade, largely. So what I want to say here is if I say this way, I may be denounced by patients who are waiting for donors' organs. But at the time your organs fall into dysfunction, and only the way you can survive is transplantation. You should accept your fate by thinking that this is the end of your life. So even if trying to prolong your life by transplanting someone's organ in your body is merely cold comfort, and your lifespan will not improve more than you expect, I think. So this idea of saving patients with heavy disease by transplantation will bring about another ethical issues. These are criteria of the concept of the death. So what kind of condition of patients allows us to judge he is dead. So simply this discussion asks compromise for the concept of the death. So because the number of alive organs that are available for transplantation is totally different between dead body from cardiopulmonary arrest and a live body. Of course, the number of organs in a live body is overwhelmingly larger than that in the dead body. From the standpoint of patients waiting for donors' organs, they want the government to ease the condition of the concept of the death. In that sense, including the alive body with a death brain in the concept of the true death is quite reasonable for patients who hope for transplantation. So because the possibility of life extension may go up for them. So, but regarding brain death as a true death, to pick up organs out of their alive body is no different from murder in the sense of taking human's life by judging one-sidedly this is his lifespan. So this is really controversial issue that we have been discussing for a long time, and there is still no certain conclusion about this issue. But the reason that people's sense of value is rather inclined to support transplantation as an ethic way is that people's creed in their mind is quite biased towards materialism, regardless of whether or not they believe in a certain religion. So, because people believe brains is just the material core that manipulates a human's body and human's emotions, so that they reach conclusion that brain death can be regarded as a true death, even though a body still function. So they don't even have the concept of a spirit of human beings in the body. So their concept of death is quite materialistic, as if it were a broken robot whose core system doesn't work anymore completely. So if they're firmly caught up in this way of thinking, how they capture the view of life and death is quite inorganic. Like if they are dead, their consciousness goes to endless nihilistic world. So that's why they cling to their life very strongly, and they regard a person with no consciousness by brain death as a true dead person. So it seems to me for people who believe that transplantation is a humane, this world is just the last world we live with consciousness. So in short, they don't have the worldview. They don't have the worldview like this world is just a temporary world, and another world where we're going after death is the main world. So it's like we are here. It's like we are here to learn something to improve our spirit. So they don't even consider the circumstance that there is a certain meaning for people who suffer from a brain death until they reach the end of life. So like this may be a kind of last mission for them to learn something important for their spirit from the experience of vegetable until the end of their life. So that's why they can easily expose the idea that brain death is true death. So the same is true for people who cling to life by transplantation. They think this world is everything. So that they want to extend their life as long as possible in defiance of the concept of individual fixed lifespan in this world. So they don't want to accept their own lifespan. They want to extend their life even if they end up resisting their fate. So replacing non-functional organs for someone's alive organs is not territory that allows human beings to handle. This is a territory of God, I think, because this activity will distort the providence. Like we have to murder a person with a brain death by assuming that he is dead person, even though he is alive. So, and some people in poor countries hurt themselves to pick up their own organs out of their body to support their living for their family. So I believe people in critical ill condition who needs transplantation already know, or they can't live longer. So if they under even if they undergo the transplant surgery, so they already know this matter instinctively. So, and transplantation is just a cold comfort, I think. They don't need to cling to life strongly. This is just a transplant, you know, the world where we are right now is just a temporary world. So people's view of life and death is, I think, extremely immature, and I think the standard of humanitarian ethics is also wrong in so many cases in this world.